What if I told you that every democracy carries within itself the seeds of its own destruction? That buried deep inside the very systems designed to elevate human freedom lies a silent mechanism, ticking away like a time bomb, slowly transforming societies of thinkers into civilizations of sleepwalkers. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not political paranoia. This is the uncomfortable truth that philosophers have whispered about for over 2,000 years, and today you are about to understand why. Democracy was born as humanity's greatest experiment. Picture ancient Athens, where citizens gathered in open squares to debate, to argue, to challenge one another's ideas. The premise was beautiful in its simplicity. Give people the power to govern themselves, and wisdom would naturally rise to the surface. The collective intelligence of the many would always outweigh the tyranny of the few. But here is what they did not anticipate. They did not foresee that freedom, when left unchecked, would eventually turn against itself. They did not imagine that the very tools designed to liberate minds could one day be weaponized to imprison them. Plato saw it coming. In his masterwork, The Republic, he painted a prophetic portrait of democracy's dark trajectory. He described how democratic societies, intoxicated by the sweetness of unlimited freedom, would gradually lose the ability to distinguish between wisdom and noise. Leaders would no longer be chosen for their virtue or their knowledge, but for their ability to entertain, to flatter, to tell the masses exactly what they wanted to hear. Truth would become irrelevant. What would matter is how something made you feel in the moment. And in this fertile ground of emotional reasoning, demagogues would rise like weeds in an untended garden. But Plato was writing about a world without smartphones, without algorithms, without 24-hour news cycles engineered to capture your attention at any cost. What would he say if he could see us now? What would he think of a world where the average person is bombarded with more information in a single day than their ancestors encountered in an entire lifetime? Where the human brain, evolved over millions of years to survive on the savannah, is suddenly drowning in an ocean of stimuli it was never designed to process. This is where the hidden mechanism begins to reveal itself. You see, the problem is not that people are stupid. The problem is that intelligence requires conditions to flourish, and those conditions are being systematically eroded. Critical thinking is not a talent you are born with. It is a skill you develop through practice, through exposure to challenging ideas, through the uncomfortable process of having your beliefs questioned and refined. But what happens when every algorithm is designed to show you only what you already agree with? What happens when discomfort becomes the enemy, when anything that challenges your worldview can be scrolled past, blocked, or dismissed with a single swipe? The mechanism works like this. First, you fragment attention. You take a population capable of deep concentration, and you shatter their focus into 1,000 pieces. You train them to consume information in bite-sized portions, to mistake scrolling for learning, to confuse familiarity with understanding. Second, you create echo chambers. You surround each individual with voices that mirror their own until they forget that other perspectives even exist. Third, you reward emotion over reason. You build systems where outrage spreads faster than nuance, where the most extreme positions gain the most visibility, where being loud matters more than being right. And finally, you monetize the entire process. You make confusion profitable. You turn polarization into a business model. If this idea has already begun to resonate with you, imagine what comes next. Subscribe now so you do not miss this journey. Now let me tell you about something that happens in your brain every single day, something you are probably not even aware of. Psychologists call it cognitive offloading. It is the process by which we outsource our thinking to external tools. Write something down, and you no longer need to remember it. Use a calculator, and you no longer need to do the math in your head. In small doses, this is harmless. even helpful. But what happens when we begin to outsource not just memory, not just calculation, but judgment itself? Think about the last time you formed an opinion about a complex issue. Did you read multiple sources? Did you seek out perspectives that challenged your initial reaction? Or did you scroll through a few headlines, absorb the general sentiment of your social feed, and call it a day? Be honest with yourself. There is no shame in admitting it. We have all done it. The system is designed to make it almost impossible not to. Here is the tragedy. Every time you let someone else do your thinking for you, you lose a small piece of your intellectual sovereignty. And these pieces add up. Over years, over decades, entire generations begin to atrophy. Not physically, but mentally. The muscles of critical thought weaken from disuse, and a population that cannot think critically is a population that can be led anywhere. I want you to imagine two societies. In the first, citizens are trained from childhood to question, to analyze, to tolerate ambiguity and complexity. They are comfortable with not knowing, with holding multiple possibilities in their minds simultaneously. They understand that the world is not black and white. The truth is often found in the gray spaces between extremes. In the second society, citizens are trained to seek certainty, to demand simple answers to complex questions, to view disagreement as a threat rather than an opportunity. They are given enemies to hate, heroes to worship, and narratives that explain everything while questioning nothing. Which society is more likely to make wise collective decisions? Which is more resistant to manipulation? Which is more capable of navigating the challenges of an increasingly complex world? The answer is obvious, and yet which direction are we moving in? The transformation from democracy to idiocracy does not happen overnight. It is not a sudden collapse, but a gradual drift. It is 1,000 small surrenders, 1,000,000 moments where we choose comfort over truth, entertainment over education, belonging over understanding. It is the slow erosion of standards, the normalization of mediocrity, the celebration of ignorance as a kind of authenticity. But existence is not hopeless. There is a path forward, and it begins with a single act of rebellion, the decision to think for yourself. This sounds simple, almost cliché, but in a world engineered to think for you, it is the most radical act you can perform. It means deliberately seeking out information that challenges your assumptions. It means sitting with discomfort instead of running from it. It means recognizing that your first reaction to something is often not your wisest reaction, that wisdom requires patience, reflection, time. The ancient Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor of Rome, spent his nights writing reminders to himself about the importance of mental discipline. He knew that the mind, left to its own devices, would drift toward laziness, toward easy answers, toward the seductive comfort of certainty. He wrote not because he had mastered these truths, but because he was constantly in danger of forgetting them. And if an emperor needed daily reminders, what about the rest of us? There is a practice that can help. It is called negative visualization, and it works like this. Instead of asking yourself what you believe, ask yourself what you might be wrong about. Instead of defending your positions, try attacking them. Seek out the strongest arguments against your own views and take them seriously. This is not about becoming wishy-washy or losing your convictions. It is about testing those convictions in the fire of honest inquiry, so that what survives is stronger, more refined, more worthy of your commitment. But there is a secret even deeper that few people know. The mechanism that turns democracies into idiocracies is not just external. It's not just algorithms and media corporations and political actors. The mechanism lives inside you. It is the part of you that craves validation over truth, that would rather be comfortable than correct, that fears the loneliness of thinking differently from the crowd. Every human being carries within them two wolves, as the old parable goes. One wolf is curious, humble, eager to learn. The other is defensive, tribal, hungry for certainty. And the wolf that wins is the one you feed. Every time you choose to engage with ideas that challenge you, you feed the first wolf. Every time you retreat into the safety of your bubble, you feed the second. The revelation is this: the fate of democracy is not decided in voting booths or legislative chambers. It is decided in the daily choices of millions of individuals. It is decided every time someone chooses to read past the headline, to question the narrative, to extend good faith to those they disagree with. The mechanism can be reversed, but only from the inside out, only by individuals who decide that they will not be passengers in their own minds. Socrates was executed by democratic Athens. The citizens voted to kill the wisest man among them because his questions made them uncomfortable. They chose the silence of conformity over the noise of genuine inquiry, and history has judged them harshly for it. But before we condemn them, we should ask ourselves, are we any different? When someone challenges our beliefs, do we engage or do we dismiss? When presented with uncomfortable truths, do we investigate or do we scroll past? The choice is yours. It has always been yours. No algorithm can take it from you unless you let it. No demagogue can capture your mind unless you hand it over willingly. The mechanism is powerful, but it is not invincible. And every individual who chooses to think, truly think, weakens its hold on all of us. So here is my invitation to you. Do not just watch this video and move on to the next distraction. Sit with these ideas. Let them disturb you. Let them challenge the comfortable narratives you have constructed about yourself and the world. And then do something with that discomfort. Read a book that scares you. Have a conversation with someone who sees the world completely differently. Practice the ancient art of changing your mind. Democracy does not need perfect citizens. It needs citizens who are willing to do the hard work of self-governance, and that work begins in the space between your ears. The future is not written. The mechanism can be stopped, but only by those who refuse to sleep. If this message has awakened something in you, if you feel that fire of curiosity beginning to burn, then do not let it die. Like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts, subscribe to this channel, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because the awakening of one mind sends ripples through the collective, and enough ripples can become a wave. The choice between democracy and idiocracy is not made by nations. It is made by you, right now, in this moment. What will you choose?